Woohoo! Good morning, Diana G.
Holy buckets, the Canadians are up.
Canadians are up and up in arms.
Got their coffee and their donut.
Got coffee and donuts there already. I hope Michael's well. Good morning, Carol.
How come I don't? Oh, there she is. And there's Tina.
And there's Tina. Oh, you have a headache? Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you earlier.
Hang on a minute. I got to get rid of this echo. Now, and I couldn't figure out, I kept thinking, what's going on? Now that on my end, it's better now.
I remember what I was going to tell you now, but I ain't going to tell you.
Why?
Well, because we'll talk about it in the show probably.
Well, you better jot it down so you don't forget it. That might be a long time from now.
Before the show gets going, before we get through all the sirens.
Well, that's
a fancy way of saying squirrel, Tina.
What'd you say exactly?
I said before we get through all the sirens.
Oh. Scientific words. And somebody else didn't I see something else?
You can't begin your day without speaking just a little Latin.
Okay. I should remember that. Garkey, I don't know. Carol, I don't know that I've ever seen one, to be honest. And Mark gets to see them now because he lives in the frozen north.
Aren't I lucky?
I bet if you went up,
Diana sees them.
I bet she does too. How about that, Diana? Do you guys ever see sun dogs up there? And if you don't know what that is, you don't want sun dogs, Carol. They only come out when it's cold. That's true. They are
for real cold, not just like 30 degrees.
They're cold weather pups, that's for sure.
Way below zero cold.
Yep, lots of sun dogs, she said. How about moon dogs? Do you guys ever see moon dogs? Good magicals. Hey there, Don. Welcome in. The Hitchhiking Bones.
Good morrow, neighbor.
Diana said it's minus 30.
Ooh.
What's it your place? You were having a heat wave. You were up to 20 yesterday.
We're above zero this morning. It's 4.
Oh, good.
It might be 7 or 8 by now.
And Mount Washington, New Hampshire set a new all-time wind chill low for the United States of 108 degrees. And I can't even fathom 108 degrees. And I know about Kelvin. I can't fathom that either. But in fact, I can't figure out how you can get down that cold. But
absolute zero.
Absolute zero. I guess liquid nitrogen and stuff's that cold. I don't know. Freon sure as hell won't get you down that cold in your refrigerator. I know that. Oh, it's not minus 30. It's 30 above zero. Oh, sun dogs. Yeah, sun dogs at minus 30.
They'll happen at negative 26 also. That's how cold it was when I took the picture.
Tina says her dogs were sun dogs yesterday. They only wanted to be where it was sunny indoors. They said, "Look, Mom, we're out. We're laying in the sun just like outdoors. We're fine."
So we have big glass doors that go all the way to the ground in our laundry room, and it's in the southeast corner of the house, and that the dogs they just hang out in that room all winter long, laying in the sun.
There's you.
I just saw a varmint go shooting past your shoulder.
Yeah, he must have decided to get down.
He's been kind of feisty this morning.
Yeah, well, he's
Reaching
going
it,
to get him
grabbing
again.
your arm, and
I think I touched him again, so maybe he did. I felt the hair go the wrong way. He probably didn't like that.
morning, John.
He seems overly tetchy this morning. Morning,
Steam,
John.
steam over the ocean.
Okay, what do you call light pillars, Diana?
Light pillars.
Steam on the ocean this morning. Good morning, everyone. I don't know. Do you know snow pillars? Because I don't.
What? I'm trying to catch up with you here. I don't know
light pillars.
I don't know what you're talking about. Never
Now,
heard.
Diana said never heard of moon dogs, but we get lots of light pillars.
So we get, if it's the same thing, Diana, we get those too, where you'll just have like a little straight chunk of a rainbow right at the ground level, and it doesn't really arc like a sundog or something, but just weird little, and it's when there's lots of ice in the air.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at some that are, those are caused artificially. That don't count.
Carol, she's doing good. I'll be doctoring for 6 weeks, but she's
I found a good picture.
She's healing nicely and put weight bearing and all that good stuff that you need to have happen. So she's doing good. I'm just busy and getting frostbite on my hands, doctoring her. So
Mark's horses are somewhat peculiar. If you're an Easterner with a horse, his horses don't like to go in the barn, so he's got the doctor out in the cold.
Yeah, they're wooled up like Mongolian ponies. They don't go outside.
Just keep going. I'm going to shut my camera off. Teddy can't get out.
But yeah, so she's doing good, Carol. She's I did a bandage change on her yesterday afternoon, and she's looking good.
You want to go out? Come here.
Yeah, it's not bad frostbite, though. It's just like grade 1.
Going out or not? All right. I'm going to leave the door like that. You can open that, I think.
I just can't doctor with gloves on for some reason.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go behind me. I think Teddy's seen me fall down too many times. He don't like to get too close to my feet. He's bad for remembering stuff like that. I can tell you some other things he remembers that I've not.
What's a parhelia?
Parhelia is another word for a sundog.
But not near as cool.
Well, no, sundog sounds better, but I didn't want to put that in.
So that was what I was remembering to tell you.
What's that?
About sundogs. So the Englanders called them sundogs, apparently, and the Swedes called them sundogs, and the Lakotas called them sundogs, which is just not. I mean, why would all those people have the same name for?
Well, buddy, come here. Come up here and say hi to everybody. Come on.
There he is. He is saying hi this morning.
Why don't you lay down and take a nap? I'll leave you alone, okay? Come here. Stand up. No stand up.
He might.
He might in a minute. He's going to lay down. He's got a big old scratch across his nose.
Who's he been fighting with?
His sister. You fought with your sister, I'm quite sure. I don't know if she ever scratched you across the nose, but
No, but she hit me in the eyeball with the 1960 wooden Fisher Price telephone that she was holding by the handset, and hit me with the other part like a mace.
oh no. Oh, that had to hurt. Those were pretty solid back then.
I've had some real good black eyes from tussling with the fellas and horses. Some really good ones, but that's the worst one I ever had. That one was like my whole side of my face was black.
Man, I got a picture. I'm going to show this real quick because since you brought this up. Of an example of light pillars. And I guess most of these are man-made, but I saw some that came up like when the sun was rising or just above the horizon, which you guys probably get part of the year.
Well, we don't have lights. I mean, we don't have street lamps and
yeah, you guys don't.
We don't have any of that BS light pollution here. You can see the sky of a night.
Good morning, Mike.
But we get these in the morning, but not like big sheets of them like that. They'll just be real concentrated. It'll just be like one pillar, and there might be a partial somewhere else, but it's usually just one.
So you're probably getting it off the sun as it comes up.
It's probably just a really bad sundog is what it is.
Can you see that still, or did I cut it off?
It's gone.
Okay. Good. I was afraid you'd be seeing it the rest of the morning if I couldn't figure it out. That's still pretty cool. Good morning, Mike. I hope you're well, my friend.
Morning, Mike.
And no frostbite or anything. But I understand you're in the middle of a heat wave.
Bad dog.
Bad dog.
Bad dog.
Well, when you've got one of those special nights, Diana, when it's that temperature, and you got lots and lots of ice crystals in the sky, in the air, go out and a full moon or something. Go out and look and see if you can see a moon dog, because they're the same thing basically. They're just made by the light from the moon or the reflected light from the moon. They're not bright enough to make colors. Mark was telling me, and that makes sense because they're probably on even a slightly different wavelength than sunlight.
Well, and they're just, it's the sun.
Tina says they're having a heat wave too. It's only 9 below. Mike's asking you about the horse too.
She's good, Mike. She's doing good.
The vet came out to see her too. So did you say that?
I've had the vet here finally, and we doctored her up good when he was here, and he said she was healing perfectly, and on that day she wasn't putting a lot of weight on her leg, and he was worried about tendons because of that, and it was just because she'd been standing tied for a couple hours waiting on him, and she was a little stiff, and she's walking on it nicely now. So we're making headway. It'll be 6 weeks of doctoring, but there you go. That's what horses do, as you know. They get big old cuts because they just try to kill themselves every day. How they exist as a species, I do not know.
What you're basically saying is,
they're just always trying to hurt themselves really badly,
That is kind of an interesting thought.
And then we've got feral horses, wild horses out here in the desert all over. And somehow they manage to do okay without human intervention.
Yeah. They must have picked up something from being out there all these
Although
years.
I find an awful lot of horse skeletons too. So
I bet you do. I can't imagine how many critter bot dead you found over the years.
and here's a squirrel. We have a series of trails up north of Dubois, Wyoming, Lander, Wyoming, Dubois, Wyoming, that up in the high country where the grizzly bears and the bighorn sheep live, and I was trying to figure out how to get to a place one time, and the guy was telling me the trail. He'd ridden in there several times, and he's telling me about trails, and he goes, now you want to be looking for two horse skeletons, like laying side by side. Don't turn on the trail that just has the one horse skeleton. Make sure it's the two. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to go riding in a place where there's horse skeletons just laying all over.
Especially
And it's high, cliffy country that you could make a horse skeleton pretty easy, or yourself into one.
I have a question for you. Good to hear, Mark. People are the same though. So maybe horses caught the stupid virus from us. That is possible. Let me ask you a question. This used to hang on the wall, or was posted on the wall in our ag in the sort of an ag extension office. It was where I had my little office as a grad student. Actually, before that, because I sort of had one as an undergrad, because I was doing some work then too. But anyway, on the wall, I saw this the first day I was in there, and I've never forgotten it. But on the wall were the instructions from maybe just the interior department. I can't remember if it was a specific department. It could have been BLM, but I don't know. But anyway, in the little set of drawings were how to dispose of horse carcasses
properly
on trails or in trail areas with the use of dynamite.
Really?
Really? And it was honest to God. It was
well, I mean, if you get a horse that breaks a leg or something and you're in the middle of the backcountry, you ain't bringing it out of there
that's true.
Unless you're French and you like to eat them. I mean, they ain't coming home.
I just always,
if they die in a trail, they're blocking. They might be completely blocking a trail.
One of my intrepid Google searchers on here, look and see if you can find anything about from the USDA. Well, it might have been USDA because we used to all be under that umbrella, sort of. A federal wildlife people and foresters, and see if you see something about
disposal of horse carcasses.
Horse carcasses with dynamite. Yeah, and it was some real instructions because it was a real thing. It was like 3 sticks here, 3 sticks here, 3 sticks here, and then get far away before it blows up, kind of thing. And it wouldn't you hate to be standing there within range of that and get horse innards all over you?
Have a horse raining down upon you.
Oh my goodness.
Well, they're large creatures, and they require if you're going to bury them, they require a big hole.
Very true.
I mean, you got to have a backhoe to bury a horse, and it's yeah. Well, it's not pleasant to think about. It's not pleasant to most people that I know in this country that, we're still pretty rural. If you got a horse that's going down on you and it, they'll take them and euthanize them somewhere in the back country. and that's where they stay.
Just leave them there.
Yeah, and then something gets some good out of them. Then,
True. I got a question for
as
you.
I would prefer, if
Well, me too.
I fall off my horse someday and the coyotes eat me, I'd rather have that happen as an alternative.
I've been trying for years to get Brenda to put me up in a tree so
Yeah,
birds could eat my eyes and something else could,
yeah,
just
like a John Prine song.
Use my they could use my carcass for something good.
And the blind can have my eyes.
Yeah.
And the deaf can have both my ears if they don't mind the size.
If you don't know John Prine, I highly recommend you look him up. Okay, so while we're on the squirrel, I got to ask another question.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Tina.
Since wildlife bones, dead critters, people, whatever, in that arid country,
they don't ever go away.
They last forever. How long does it take a carcass to dissolve into the ground out there?
Like the meat part?
Yeah, the hide, the meat.
It's gone quick. Mostly because stuff's eating it. I mean, we got lots of stuff that we still have a lot of critters that eat meat here. And it don't last very long.
Well, there's a lot of critters eat meat that people don't realize will eat meat.
But even squirrels eat meat.
And the yellow jackets
and we have bazillion. We don't have honeybees or bumblebees or much anywhere in the state. It's just not good country for a bee. But somehow yellow jackets are plentiful here, and they call them the locals call them meat bees. And if you shoot a deer and hang it in camp, you're going to have plenty of yellow jackets in camp. Because here they come, if it's still warm,
Well, you would back here too, but not like that, not quick like that.
There'll be thousands of them, and they'll literally eat enough meat that you'll lose. If you don't put something over the meat, you're going to lose some to bees.
Wonder how much they could actually eat. Hey, John has an important question.
Well, yeah, I was talking about that with my buddies yesterday. If I see that sucker, John, it's going down.
Actually, it's headed this way now.
Ain't no Chinese going to be spying over here.
They said it was headed through the charted course currently is over North Carolina, which means it'll probably go right over my house. I need to know. I want to look at see if they've got a schedule. I'd kind of like to look up and see it if I've got sunlight or blue sky. Right now, I've got a really nice blue sky, and I could probably see that. Well, there is some high level stuff, but it's still, I can probably see it. And it's
hey, lay down. No, don't get worked up. Sorry. Grand dog's fixing to start barking probably.
Uh-oh.
Mama's up and moving. So he was laying here quiet, and he's getting I can hear him working himself up now.
Oh.
There he goes.
He wound up. He got the barker wound up. Mike says he thinks the way you do.
Yeah, I think it's unacceptable that they've got an object in the air doing anything over our country.
Yeah, because I have to believe if we had one over them, they wouldn't tolerate it. Of course, over there, they don't care who it lands on if they shoot it down either. But there's a part of me that wonders if they're not somehow intercepting and seeing what
they're up
really
to no good is what they're up to.
Well, they were, yeah.
That's what they do.
Well, that them, yes. I'm just talking about our government and our military. I can't believe that they're not one, interfering with any transmissions going out of it, and two, I'd be really surprised if we didn't know about it. Well, I heard this morning that we've been tracking it for a while. It came across the Aleutians a few days ago or a week or two ago or something like that. And Tim, if the balloon goes, hang on a minute, if the balloon goes over, they might pick up your channel. Think of all the views and new subscribers. Wow, China has, well, you got a point there, Carol. China is a huge market for new viewers and subscribers. I hadn't thought about it. Maybe I need to figure out a way to translate this into Mandarin and send it across. Mark one up for Carol today. That's her and Tina both have been kind of on top of things. Wonder how fast it would deflate if somebody shot at it. That's probably not very quickly if you shot it with a rifle. Those things, some of those things are almost self-healing, but I bet you if a Hellfire missile got it, it wouldn't heal back up. And then in that case, I think it would deflate rather quickly.
Well, I still can't believe that our government is allowing it to occur.
Well, that's why I think they might be using it for other purposes. They might be,
because you know they're not looking for weather.
Well, that's probably true too, Tina. Yeah, but I do believe that they know probably what's going on in it by this point. I can't believe it. We don't have satellites that aren't, intercepting and maybe monkeying with it. And maybe they're telling them that the missile silos are in your backyard, not where they really are. I don't know.
Well, they are in my dang backyard.
Well, that's true. That's true. You got
they're right here. I mean, not right here, but pretty close to right here.
John, that may be very true, because I didn't think about them wanting to see how far it would go undetected, but I was thinking the same thing. They have satellites up there that'll do everything probably and more that a balloon would do. And that may sound crazy, but we have that technology too. So
that's what the Space Force is all about.
Yeah.
We'll fix that crap.
Supposedly. Tina says Google Translate works both ways. Okay, Tina, well, that's good to know. I never thought about the possible volume of subscriber increase. Maybe I could send bots over there to them like they and others send over here to us and see if they'll click on them and subscribe to the show. And, next week I might have 4 billion subscribers. Reckon YouTube would be suspicious. Tina says, yeah, I was born at Griffiths. Still have missiles there. Where is that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes military stuff more than I do.
Well, but not usually.
Or if it's a Western city, you might know.
Not usually Air Force bases, though. Maybe they're not.
Yeah, good point.
Anyway, so that was a deep dive that was a deep squirrel dive right there.
Well, it dived off.
I thought we started out on one subject and we ended up clear. It's like looking at Wikipedia.
That's what Wikipedia really stands.
You go in there looking for sundogs and you end up researching Aristotle.
Yeah, exactly. Or medieval Europe.
He talked about them, and I clicked on his name, and there I went.
Maybe even Middle Ages religion in Europe, early Europe too.
Yeah.
It tracked off into that. So that's what we're going to do, guys. So let's get going here. Let me set everything up and give me a minute to get it ready.
Tina, you just have to coax him back. You ease him Before he knows it, he's right back on subject.
Hey, you're supposed to be on my side.
I'm an instigator today.
It was in Rome, New York. She said it was Air Force. I didn't realize we had silos in Rome, New York. Hell, I just learned something. Won't the Chinese know that?
Newton, you're going to poke yourself in the eye with your own fork if you're not careful.
Well, I'm getting way too many instructions here from my new software.
Hi, buddy. Hi, buddy. You're just a big old goofy boy, aren't you?
All right, and it did it to me again.
Cool.
Hang on, guys. It's got me blocked on. I can't hit the button to go because, oh wow, that's typing in subtitles as I talk.
You really messed up. The Chinese have got a hold of your computer now.
That's going on there too. No, 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 no. I don't want that.
Newt.
Hang on, guys. Okay, I ended my show. I'm going to start it all over again. I can't remember how I did that last week. I got it off of this monitor and just had it on like it normally was. For right now, I see the slideshow, and over here I see like a editor's version of it.
And we don't say either one.
I know, that's what's bothering me. All right, here goes. I'm going to just start you out and in the program, and we'll go from there. I hope. Okay, you guys got a picture?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Still not?
Nope. Uh-oh, Newt's about to get banished to the outdoors.
Uh-oh. What happens if you start barking when you're not supposed to?
I just heard Mama say, you're about to go outside.
All right. Anybody says anything out there that's helpful to me right now, by all means, let Mark let me know. Why are they not showing up? Am I on the wrong page? All right, guys. Dang it.
So we'll just do handset. This is a sundial.
I can't believe they're not showing. Well, you guys could see that light thing I showed, couldn't you, or did you?
The which?
The light columns, did that show up?
Yeah. I think the Zeus rod is falling out of your Willikin wheel, man.
I think you're right. You don't have a spare, do you?
I'll send you a hunking pivot through the mail.
Oh, they won't get here for a month. You realize how long it takes to send one?
The pony. It's when it's this cold, the Pony Express runs pretty slow.
Uh-huh. I'm not giving up yet.
It's what happens when you get new equipment.
Yeah, but I used it last week. And as far as I know, it worked.
Yeah, it was fine. You got too many. You've made it too complex.
Yeah, you're telling me. Hang on. It's not over here. I don't understand why you're not seeing anything. Still nothing?
Nope.
I swapped screens with it. That's
Am I doing something? Do I got something going on my end that's causing the issue?
I don't think so. I don't think you could.
I'm closing everything down except for you.
I don't think that's it. What in the... Close your ears if you don't want to hear me cuss, because it's probably coming. I just found another mistake in my slides.
Can you shut the whole shooting match down and try to reboot us?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to reboot us, but I am going to restart my slideshow. Let me do that. Bear with me a minute, guys. Chase a squirrel or...
We've used them up already.
Surely not. We've invented more squirrels than that. Don't you think?
Yeah, probably.
Just curious. Does this pop up?
Which?
Hang on, I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna pop something up and just see if it does.
Check out Brenda Pruitt's handmade. Hey, something just happened.
Okay, maybe I know what I did. Let me restart things.
We're stacking. We're doing the
I'm
stacky stack.
getting out of that. Sorry. Brenda Pruitt did what?
Carol says to go check out her handmade aprons made out of vintage fabrics.
Yeah. I have to remember where I hide those things.
Hey, Newt.
My shows, I mean, not anything of Brenda's. All right, let's see if this works.
Buddy, come here and sit with me.
I'm gonna text Bob Chapin.
Hang on a minute, I might have figured it out. Anything?
Success.
Okay.
You got that aggravating little slide on the side of it though that makes everything smaller.
So you are seeing the backwards one. Dang it.
Backwards one.
Yeah, you're seeing the one that if anything, I don't even need that one. But if I turn that one off, I think my other one goes away.
Can you just turn the notes off? Right there. Doesn't that say, oh.
No, it's
No.
saying there ain't no notes in there. I
Got it.
tried it. I hit a button there. I had this just a minute ago.
Away.
Just a moment ago, I had that figured out. Switch windows.
What'd you do that it disappeared it?
Yeah, I disappeared it on purpose.
Oh.
Okay, I'll try that, Miss Carol. It better hurry up because I'm going to get mad because my butt's hurting. That's where I found it. Is that better?
What better?
Do you see anything now?
No.
Oh, I see why. Hang on a minute.
There it is. Don't touch it.
I have to. I can't show my slides if I don't touch it. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do next week. Mark and I are going to meet offline and do this and practice, or I am anyway. But I have to have you on here so you can help me see if it's working or not.
There's Ian. See,
Ian, good morning.
It was right on time.
I like that. Good morning, sirs and chat peeps, although he must be talking about Surf Bum, and surely he's not talking about us.
Oh my God, my wife's making something in there. It smells wonderful.
Tell me so I can enjoy it too.
I don't know what it is yet.
Oh, man. Okay, now let's see how this works. Did that work?
Yeah.
I'm a little gun shy right now, if you know what I mean. So please consider hitting the like button, and if you don't like it, hit the unlike button. I'll deal with that too. Subscribe to the channel always helps, and leave a comment. Apparently, all those things help YouTube promote the channel. Thank you very much, and that is, even though it may not sound like it, that is a sincere thank you for being here. And this is an early drawing of a Parahelia or a sundog. And I can't remember when this was drawn, Middle Ages or early Middle Ages maybe. And I'm not sure they knew who the artist was in this case, but maybe they did. I just don't remember. But basically, they're showing it as, the sun in the middle and the two other suns, as they were often referred to back then, on the side. Of course, back then they didn't really understand the sun anyway. So What are sun dogs, you might ask? A sundog, or sundog, or a mock. See, there's some people call them mock suns, also called a perihelion, and plural is perihelia. So I guess technically I should have said perihelion bear. In meteorology, is an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot to one or both sides of the sun. Two sundogs often flank the sun within a 22-degree halo, which I thought was interesting. If you look at them online, they're almost always, in that respect, they're almost always identical. I mean, the distance from one to the other, they're always that way. And this picture was taken by our friend Mark Zorns. And if you look in the background on the middle, just above the ridge line of the mountains, I don't know if you can see it, but where my cursor is, that is the sun. So you're actually getting 4 of them here, if you want to look at it that way. And there's a slight angle to it, which I thought was cool. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
The cool thing I think about this photo is that center spot is almost too bright to look at, even in a photograph. Doesn't look like any dog I ever had.
Listen to this. She wants to know if there's a share smells option. And then I like this comeback here too. See, sundogs stay outside. They don't make you keep getting up and let them in and out.
French toast?
With sausage and banana bread. You want some?
No,
No sausage even?
no. Thank you.
Oh, I thought I heard another cat come in. I think don't think I'm crazy, or at least don't say it in public, but I still think every once in a while I hear spooky. So anyway, Mark took this picture. He sent it into there's a Daily Wyoming newspaper thingy on. I don't know. Do they print that, or is it just online?
I think it's just online.
Probably is. Anyway, they published that Wednesday. Wednesday or Thursday.
It's been so cold and so long, I don't know.
Tuesday or Wednesday, they posted this as their sunrise of the day.
Cowboy State Daily.
Cowboy State Daily.
Yeah,
Right.
the little local. Well, it's not local; it's statewide, but it's for us.
I
it's
just
local.
noticed that if you were an airplane looking down on your hayfield here, the ponies may have written out a message.
I think they did.
That looks like a P or a backwards G.
Like get me the heck out of here.
Yeah,
It's cold. That's what they wrote was, it's too cold. Because it was negative 26 that morning.
Yes, you told me that. So lots of ice crystals.
And if you want to see cool sundogs, you're going to be cold. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why Diana said you really don't want them.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, it's cool to have seen that because that's the best one I ever saw personally. Oh, I'd like to have seen one of those. Look at that.
These are halos. And I thought I put those later in the slideshow. But anyway, this is the same kind of thing. The one on the upper left.
Right there.
Yeah, this one's more of a sundog. The halo is actually there, but you can't really see it.
Well, and it is on my photo too. If you look, it's.
Oh yeah. Now this one, the halo this has got a double because it's got the sundogs here, but it's actually got the extra ones. If you look on the left, it's starting to form. But this has got a big rainbow up above it, which is another thing that can happen.
That's pretty cool.
That's very cool. That's also cool because up here above the center one, it's got a flash there too.
That's where the aliens are landing.
That's it. And this one on the right's a really good halo. And there is also something called fire rainbows. Have you guys ever seen these, Diana? Because this is where it's acting sort of a combination of, well, I don't know if you could call it a true sundog, but they're listed with the sundogs because it's another thing that happens, I guess, with ice crystals and the sun that they thought would be fun to talk about. And I thought they were pretty, so I added them in. That would be pretty cool too. I mean, that's not the aurora. That's anywhere. That's another sun trickery.
Well, those are cool. I've never even heard of those.
Yeah, me either. And here's one. Here's just rainbows on the bottom. And here's one. This is the sun called another icy situation. And this is almost like light columns, Diana, but the aurora is here also. But the part of this is the sun coming up or the sun breaking through or something. Never seen for rainbow, but now I want to.
Yeah, spicy. Is it good?
Tina says, having had several pets past him, I would not. Oh, okay. You wouldn't think I was crazy and good, Tina, because that cat still. I swear to God, he jumps up on the bed every night, or about every night. And I'll wake up and look. I'll look and see if it's one of the little guys or Teddy, and it's not. Anyway, those are cool. I'd like to see something like that too. The Greeks talked about sun god or sun dogs, and Aristotle talks about them in some of his notes. It said 2 mock suns rose with the sun and followed it all through the day until sunset. He says that mock suns are always to the side, never above or below, most commonly at sunrise or sunset, more rarely in the middle of the day. I bet if you live far enough up north, Diana, maybe you can tell us. I mean, do you guys see them in the middle of the day? Because in the wintertime, the sun doesn't get much above the horizon up there, does it? I mean, you're not full dark all the time, but I was thinking you had short days. Nothing personal. Now, that could be, Diana. I could have that mixed up. It was mixed in with the pictures, and I wasn't positive, so I'm more than happy to stand corrected. You're probably right. And then another poet, Aratus, I don't know how that's pronounced, mentions paraphilia as part of his catalog of weather signs. According to him, they can indicate rain, wind, or an approaching storm. I suspect they more likely would precede a damn blizzard, but that's just me personally.
So ours was weird because it was at the end of, or toward the end of foul weather, and we had lots of snow before it and not any since.
Huh.
So,
well, you had it probably the first day you had a decent clear sky, didn't you? Probably. And really cold.
It was the coldest day of that series.
Yeah.
If you will.
Rome had several of their famous peoples talk about it, such as Cicero in his On the Republic papers.
I've always found it interesting that there was a Roman named after an Iroquois, the westernmost group of the Iroquois Indians. Seneca. It is.
You and I should
spelled the same.
You and I should discuss that someday. I have a hypothesis on that. And there's all kinds of, there's other references to that. And what is the cause of the prismatic colors of the rainbow? I didn't even know they knew what a prism was. Or the appearance in heaven of 2 rival images of the sun. with sundry other phenomena treated in a monumental volume by Archimedes of Syracuse. That's Syracuse too.
So they're talking Roy G. Beverly right there.
Roy Reed Beverly, yeah, they are. And there's in Jerusalem in 1606 or 1106. I mean, there's notes and writings from there about sun dogs. I'm not going to read them all. I got us behind. And in the War of the Roses, there were mentions of sun dogs and referring to an omen for battle. And always makes me wonder. It didn't used to when I was younger, but now and I'm older, it always makes me wonder, if both teams or both armies are saying that the sun dogs are giving them good luck, which one is it? Does it?
Well, the one that lost says they're a bad omen, and
Yeah.
the ones that won say the opposite.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And I think about, how battle occurred in those days and how flippin' cold it was when they were out there in like armor and chainmail and
I have to give them credit for being pretty hardy souls.
they didn't have any of their polar fleece or any of that on.
No polar fleece, no
They didn't have on pack boots or.
Oh, okay, Diana. So you guys get a pretty long day. Tina's got something here I didn't get. You're as much an edutainer as Walt Disney was. You're the first person in years that's made science interesting to me. I was just sharing the stream, and that occurred to me. Well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate that. I don't mind being an edutainer.
And being compared to the man,
Yeah, that's
holy buckets.
Yeah, that might be stressing it a little bit, but I do appreciate the thought. We have the entire country of H and Italy in central New York. Well, that's true. I guess that's from all the Italian immigrants. You think? I mean, that's the only reason I can imagine. They all came over here and the English did it too. They came over here and got homesick, I guess. So they named cities and towns after the ones they left, which to me never made much sense. I mean, they left them. They didn't want them to be there anymore.
Well, our in our little town here of Kimmer, home of J.C. Penney, salute.
J.C. Penney.
That's where his first store was at. It's still there. Anyway, there were so many Italian immigrants that came to work the coal mines that Al Capone was running whiskey in this country, having whiskey made for him, and he was running it out of here in Canada. And our little local paper's called the Little Chicago. Seriously.
That's funny though. Like, he used to come to Johnson City too, which you and I both lived near, and because again, I think that's probably got a lot to do with places where they can be out of sight and out of mind.
Out of sight and out of mind.
And that's hilarious. How did we get off on that squirrel?
Italy.
Oh yeah. Well, this Jacob Hooter thing I thought was a little bit interesting, and he's talking about sun dogs. I spelled it wrong there. I bet spell check got me on that one. Oops. I went too far. In his brotherly faithfulness, epistles from a time of persecution, he wrote this big long diatribe here about things that happened, I guess, about these suns happening and maybe what it meant or what it didn't mean. And he saw these had their backs turned towards each other, almost touching in the middle. and their ends pointed away from each other. And he thinks that was a sign. And after a while, the two suns and rainbows disappeared, and only one sun remained. Even though the other two suns were not as bright as the one, they were clearly visible. I feel this was no small miracle, which I can only imagine they thought people that didn't know anything about science or astronomy had to wonder about such things as that. And
it
this
was on Halloween.
Huh?
Halloween, 1533.
What am I missing?
Back a slide. No, that.
Oh, thought to be 1530. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, actually. And I thought I don't know if anybody called it All Hallows Eve back then or not. Maybe before it was Halloween. It wasn't mentioned in this part of it, but I noticed that too. I forgot to mention that. Thanks for catching it.
I don't even know that those people would have.
No, they probably did.
That was All Hallows Eve for Brits.
And these guys were Germanish.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I doubt if they had a Halloween, but maybe they did.
You have to count it, even if you call it.
Get on TV and say hello.
Who's going to say hello?
You want to come get on TV and say hello? Oh, no.
No. Is that Ronnie?
That's Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie.
She's ignoring you.
Imagine that.
She's got the best ignorer that I've ever met. Hey, you don't want to get on the TV?
I think she's probably got it turned on for you too.
No.
Okay, well, moving on then.
She got her cast off, so she's tickled.
Already?
Yep.
Well, I guess that's good. I thought this one was pretty cool. This was a drawing. This was thought to be the first color painting of sundogs and halos and stuff like that. And it was the first color depiction of Stockholm as a city. So he was Swedish, I guess. Some sort of Viking type person, but I thought that was kind of cool. They think this was the first color painting of that site, and all these phenomena happening in the sky, which may have just been elaborated upon, but they look kind of cool.
So say that name like 3 times real fast.
I can't say it one time real slow.
Vader
Ian says he's never heard.
Vader Sostalan.
Carol said it. She told Tina her squirrel counting too. I think so, Tina. I think everybody's squirrel has to count in here. I'm not going to be the only one.
And Ian said he'd never heard of sundogs.
Ian, I'm not so sure I had either till Mark sent me a picture of one the other day. I've never seen one. Now, you probably could out where you are. It gets cold enough, I would think. At least once in a while.
Did you manage to research whether they only occur in the northern hemisphere?
Oh, you know what? I didn't get to that. I was going to do that, and I forgot to do that. Mark and I were discussing that yesterday about whether they happen in the southern hemisphere, but there's not as much.
You want to go lay down?
In the southern hemisphere, the influence of the Antarctica doesn't seem to stretch out as far, or maybe there's just nothing that close to it. But you might.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say you might see them in southern Argentina, Chile area down there by the Magellan Gulf, but it might be too windy too because that country is whipped by wind. Worse than you are.
We're we got wind too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Pretty sure I saw some up in northern Idaho. Just didn't know the name. Ah, okay, Ian. Well, you might have.
Yeah, that would be a great place to see them.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to look in the southern hemisphere and just see if you would think surely they could be on Antarctica, but there is a difference between the weather down there than and the Arctic, because it doesn't snow's different down there, and I'm gonna talk myself into a hole, so I need to move on. But.
So before you leave the hole, total squirrel. My former supervisor, my son called my former supervisor the other day. He's the co-author of that book on ferrets.
Yeah.
The Broken Circle. Called him the other day and he answered and he sounded kind of different, weird on the phone. And Sam's like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm in Antarctica." And it literally that he's like on a bucket list trip to flipping Antarctica right now.
On a cruise ship, or how did he get there?
He's down there doing, he's like, he went on some scientific expedition. He's down there drilling ice cores.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, tell Samuel.
There's a squirrel for you.
Ask him if he ever saw any sun dogs while he was down there.
I will, but I think it's summertime down there.
It is. That's true. So maybe he wouldn't, but I don't think. Well, no, it does warm up some down there, at least somewhat. Those islands, some of those islands.
Yeah, he's not having. He's like talking like it's like a summer in the high country in Wyoming. So.
Our northern friends,
not on my bucket list,
are both saying that trip ain't on their bucket list.
It'd be cool to see like emperor penguins and things. So
Tina says, so future show will instruct us in the different forms of snow. And now there's 4 squirrels. Well, you never know, Tina. We just never know.
And the Eskimos have way more than the Inuit people have way more than 4 types of snow.
And that I thought I'd already mentioned Rome, but maybe I didn't. 1630 they were talked about, which I have to believe that most of these don't, and as we've discussed, they don't happen very often further south. So, people at one time, they were probably pretty rare because, it didn't necessarily get that cold in the middle part of Europe where some of these are coming from. It'd be like me living here and don't remember ever seeing anything like that down here, but we've never had that ice crystal kind of situation that it is required to get something like that out. You'd almost wonder if you couldn't get that in the right kind of rain situation, like if the sun was coming up behind it and it was clearing off, and maybe you had a really misty rain. If you could get some of that, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I've never
those are called rainbows.
Well, that's true. They just rainbow. Have you ever seen a rainbow with a sundog?
No.
Yeah, me either. We're opening up many worlds of investigation that we never dreamed of. And in February 20th, 1661, in Gdansk, they witnessed a really complex halo one. And again the following year, and I'm not even going to try to read all those names, so just know that somebody did. And then again in 1790, Johann Tobias Lutwitz, St. Petersburg, Russia. Same kind of deal. And Newfoundland had 5. In 1843, in the British colony of Newfoundland, was referred to as the winter of 3 suns, and was usually cold for 15 days. And why did I put that picture in there, I wonder?
I don't know, but I just think that the Newfoundlander folks were sissies if they thought it was unusually cold for 15 days and it was 3 to 10 degrees below zero.
Maybe it was warmed up to that point for them.
That ain't even hardly worth mentioning.
Well, maybe it was a warm day and they were out, in the outside, which brings me to the more bigger topic of discussion. Nope, that's China. Those are all pretty much the same.
No,
But this
back up one.
back up one. Oh, 2020, yeah.
I just thought that
That's the one that's supposed that picture was supposed to be on that slide.
Got it. So
That's where I screwed up.
I just think it's cool that their country's name is the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to get you flying craving on me. I'm going to get coffee. Be right back.
Okay. Well, as soon as Mark gets back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Great Sioux Wars because there was some of this kind of thing going on, and it seems like there are quite a few. Hang on just a minute, guys. I think I've got. Bear with me. Time to go to the concession stand, guys. Be right back. I need to put that dancing concession stand thing on my be right back sign, except I don't have a be right back sign, but I will be right back. Well, that's kind of weird. I had Brenda's cat, so to speak, Chloe, down here crying at the door. That's unusual. She usually only does that when she's trying to hide from a store.
Come here, buddy. Nope, not gonna do it.
You're right, Carol. I'm hoping you're paying attention because there will be a test at the end.
Tricky math problem.
This is like the Disney cartoon Math Magic Land. Anybody remember that? Besides me. I actually learned a lot, and I didn't see that till I was in my. Well, I probably saw it younger, but okay. I didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't quote this. Maybe they didn't know who it was, but they're talking about this is in the wintertime in the West. And they wrote, part of the time we marched in the teeth of a biting storm of snow. And at every hour of the day, the sun could be discerned sulking behind gray, soft gray mist in company with rivals, known in the language of the plains as sundogs, whose perihelic splendors warn the traveler of the approach of the ever to be dreaded blizzard. Which is kind of right, I guess. I don't know if that's entirely true, though.
Didn't work here.
It almost seems to me like you get them closer. I almost think you'd get those ice crystals in a drier climate and a drier situation than a storm coming or even a blizzard. Yes, it could happen, but my experience with blizzards, blizzard as in snow falling, it's usually warmer than that. But we used to joke down here in Tennessee and say it never really snowed hard down here until it was about 35.
Well, but blizzards have to have wind.
That's right. That's why I was
I
saying
mean, just because it's snowing hard don't mean it's a blizzard.
Well, that's true.
And I don't know it. Like I said, when the one showed up here at the house, it was at the tail end of the bad weather, it wasn't heralding a soon to attack us kind of a blizzard situation because it hadn't snowed since, which is okay with me because we got a lot.
You got enough right now to do you, so. But you need the moisture.
But we need the moisture, so.
So anyway, this period of sundogs and bitter winters and the like seem to have been a period of unrest, you could say, in the West. That's when most of the really major 18th century, I hate to use this expression, but Indian wars were fought pretty much. And probably the biggest ones that most people would ever hear of or never hear of were in this 76 to 77 period. Actually, there were some in the 60s, late 60s. Well, from the mid 50s on up, but they were seldom and they weren't big. This one kind of got out of hand in a sense. But there was a reason for it, which we'll mention.
Well, this is the one where they killed Custer in June of 1876.
I have a slide for that.
Huh? Oh, you have a slide
You're
for
stepping
that.
on my lap, buddy.
Sorry.
But anyway, these are paintings that you see of that period attacking a wagon train, which is not entirely real. I mean,
Which almost never happened.
Although I just noticed those wagons look to be pulled by mules, which did happen. So I brought about some pictures of that time period, that were drawn and put in papers and such as that. And where this country was, and it was in the Dakotas mostly, but part of it was in Wyoming and some in Montana. But I've got a map here in a minute that'll kind of show where everybody was at. But in that
That's the Yellowstone River right there.
Huh?
That's the Yellowstone River in the middle with all the numbers around it.
They're here, yeah. Yeah, it is.
So
that's Montana and Wyoming there, and this is Nebraska down here, and this is North and South Dakota is what is in this upper corner. And the Black Hills, I just realized the Black Hills were marked on this map, and that's what this was all about.
Sapa.
And this kind of shows more of it too, where some of this land was and what it had to do with the native tribes and reservation lands. And it's another place where the Americans kind of broke their word, or European Americans, like my forefathers, sort of broke the rules and broke their treaty promises. And you hear about it all the time, but when you hear about it, it's almost always about these two people. They seem to get most of the headlines and credits for that war, and those wars, and that's General Custer, who got really famous for dying, and
Lieutenant Colonel.
What did I say? Lieutenant?
You said General. which he was in the Civil War.
He
Then
was bred.
but then he got reassigned to his actual rank
Right.
after the war.
And we got Sitting Bull on this side, who really didn't fight in the. Well, I don't know if he fought much during those wars, or if he was just a spiritual, mostly a guider or an advisor. But he might have. But he
was
didn't.
He was an older gentleman when
Yeah.
when the wars. He had been a famous warrior, but that was like intertribal warfare.
Right. Which was very common back then.
And then he, at this point, he was a holy man and a spiritual leader.
Yeah, what he said.
That deal.
And this is one of the most famous paintings of Custer's Last Stand. And there's supposed to be Colonel Custer in the middle. And all his men are surrounding him, and they're all down at his feet. And then this is probably about as far from the truth as we could have gotten. And basically, he got a whooping that day.
Yeah, they figure he was. They figure he got shot crossing the Little Bighorn, the Greasy Grass.
Greasy Grass, yeah.
And that he was basically dead in the saddle when they made it up to the Last Stand Hill. And, he was not functional or maybe even dead by the time they got to the top of the hill. But they all got, in the words of Jack Crabb, they got turned into a greasy spot.
They certainly did.
Unfortunately.
And like Mark said, Custer might have been one of the first ones killed now that they know more about it. And one of the reasons they know more about it, and I know this is straying off of Sundogs, but there was a lot of Sundog religion. There was a lot of religion going on with the natives, and Sundogs and that sort of thing were involved during this time period. And this is the Battle of the Greasy. The Indians refer to this river as the Greasy Grass down here where the trees are. And Americans called it the Little Bighorn. And these are the scattered graves of the. Hey, John, welcome back, buddy. These are all the graves of the soldiers. And I think this is the newer layout, but I'm not positive. Mark, you might know that. You've been out there.
In what way?
Well, I know at one time they had a kind of a central grave. They thought they were in a central grave or a mass grave or something to that effect. And I guess some of them are, but then
they put those stones up right where they found the dude.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And so if you go and if anybody, I mean, this is straying way off the subject, but if anybody's never been there, it's a fascinating place, and they have you'll see the cluster of stones up on Last Stand Hill, they call it, which is what you're looking at there. And but then there are grave markers scattered from Hades to Breakfast all over that landscape,
especially down in these arroyos
and even further away. Wherever they found a guy, that's where they buried him originally. Some of them have been exhumed and taken to Arlington, etc. But the marker is still there where they found each man, and they scattered like a covey of quail, and they just ran them down, in singles and pairs. And they bolted in all directions, and the Indians overran them, or the natives.
I don't know well, this obviously was in June. So the tribes over here were moving, but I can, from everything I've read through history, it says that this whole bottom, there's the rivers where the trees are, but everything on the other side of that, well, out to a point, were full of lodges, teepees, and it was a huge encampment.
5,000 lodges, I think.
5,000 lodges, I think. Yeah, and some of that's because they can still find lodge circles out here in places that
Probably 30 or 40,000 horses.
yeah, it's amazing, and it's still a mystery to me why he thought why they would run from him or something with that many warriors. Sort of a side note on that battle, one of the reasons we don't know as much about, or didn't know as much about, the actual battle was the Native Americans wouldn't talk about it after it was over. They were always afraid if they talked about it, they would be punished for it. So a lot of them didn't tell the details that they knew about what actually happened. They were there. They may have ridden across the river in the attack and ran Custer back across the river. But they didn't tell about it because they didn't want to be reprimanded or hung for it even. Who knows? Oh. And, but anyway, that was just it was just something else that seemed to correspond with sundogs, and that kind of weather, and not when the battle happened, but during this couple of years when these things were going on, and some really nasty cold weather.
That's cool, John.
What John say? In the barracks I lived in, up in the attic, is old gun racks with initials carved in from the side. Wow. And that was, what was that called before it was F.E. Warren? Fort Russell. No, that was Oklahoma. No. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, Fort Russell. I got you.
D.A. Russell.
I didn't know that.
And there's a hanging up in Fort Laramie, which is 90 miles away as the crow flies, between D.A. Russell or F.E. Warren and Fort Laramie. They had a dispatch rider that used to ride from D.A. Russell to delivering whatever to Fort Laramie. And he would run his horse all the way up there and turn around and run his horse all the way home. Not 90-mile one-way trip. So 180 miles he would. He was a little bitty guy, and they always tried to give him another mount. And he's like, I don't need another mount. And away they'd go.
Huh. I hadn't heard that story. But anyway, these are all just things that kind of corresponded with sundogs in history. And this one, of course, is particular interest to us. Ian says he had a donut for you this morning, Mike. The breakfast burrito was for me, though. Well, good on you, Ian, for thinking about Mike. I'm probably going to eat one for Mike here after I get off here, too. Okay, I have one last slide, and this is more about that conflict than it is about sundogs, but it's relevant, so it's not a squirrel. That is stuff ground through.
No, he was going to Fort Laramie, John, not to Laramie the town.
Oh,
so he was riding northeast towards, Torrington country.
Well, I had another slide for this too, I thought. What did I do with that slide? Jiminy. I lost it. I lost some slides this morning trying to.
Yeah.
I had some newspaper. I had some newspaper clippings about this from that happened in that period, but I don't have them. I thought this was interesting. And I'm not sure what newspaper this came out of, and it could have been a Native American newspaper. But here's Crazy Horse telling his story. And Crazy Horse was in the battle. Some of the stories had him leading the battle. I don't know that that's true, Mark. That's not really. He wasn't that high up, was he? I mean, he might have been that high up, but
he was the big boss bull in the woods in that battle.
okay.
Him and Gall.
Well, I was thinking of Gall. That's why I didn't know if
he was basically leading one wing of the army,
okay,
and Gall was leading the other one. And they just whooped Crook down on the Rosebud, a few days before that.
Yeah, he got whipped down there, and then they came back or moved up to where they were, and then they whipped Custer, who they didn't even know who. They probably didn't even know Custer was there, honestly, but somebody was attacking their village. This was interesting because there's never been a known photo of Crazy Horse, or I found it interesting. I keep forgetting Cheyenne is in Laramie County. Oh, well, yeah. Mike's ready for a breakfast burrito, too. Maybe if you talk sweet to your wife, she'd go fix you one or get you one. Anyway, I thought this was kind of, like I said, there's never been an image of Crazy Horse that anybody knows about. No paintings, no photographs that we know about. If he was, nobody knew who he was because we didn't know. And so, the stone they're carving up in the mountains is, I guess, by comparative art, with other natives of that region, maybe, and accounts of what he looked like, but nobody had a picture of him. Now, Sitting Bull, on the other hand, there were lots of pictures of him. And in fact, at some point,
you couldn't hear me. I was muted.
Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, I said there is a drawing of the man that.
Oh, is there for sure?
Yeah, that's definitely him. That was done by some immigrant that was friends with the Lakotas later in his life before they stabbed him. But it's just a pencil drawing.
Well, that's better than nothing. I didn't know there was even that.
Yeah, they didn't. I think if you Google it, if you Wikipedia him, you'll see that drawing. But he wouldn't let him take his photo.
Okay, I found it.
And he stayed away from white people in general. They figure that he mostly was never photographed or anything just because he avoided town.
Could be.
I sympathize with that.
And at least we forget there are such things as snow dogs, or not snow dogs, moon dogs. And while I can't prove these are all moon dogs, I believe they may be, although that one on the left looks pretty bright.
I think that's
I think that's a sun dog too. I think somebody's fooling me or fooling with the lens. Like I said, I got some pictures mixed up too. So, but these two on the right do look like the moon, and because these are much smaller and you don't have that rainbow. But now I've seen a halo, and you can see the halo really well on this upper one here, or at least on the bottom side. And I've seen halos all around the moon. And that's
remember we used to say, I don't know if everybody talked like this, but if you had if the moon was out and there was a big ring around it, you knew it was going to rain.
Yeah.
Or snow or whatever. I mean, it was going to precipitate on you.
Yeah.
within 24 hours.
Some people around here used to, I don't, this might be a squirrel, but some people around here used to say if the moon was partial, once it started, once the wolf started to eat the moon or whatever, when it was a partial, if it was turned upright, water couldn't run out of it, then it wasn't going to rain. And if it was, like this, it would rain because it couldn't hold water. Where you going, Tedward? You just take off and don't say bye. So anyway, the moon dogs are real, and that's the end of this slideshow. So let me cut that off before everybody thinks we've given up for some reason. And escape. And there we go, folks. Hey,
So
Dave.
Where's Tina at? So reflected light doesn't split the rainbows.
Yeah, it does. Well, reflected light.
So if it's reflected off the sun from the sun onto the moon and then makes sun dog or moon dogs, they don't have any color.
Yeah, they don't have the.
But
I assumed it's
they
because
say it's because of the brightness of the light.
Yeah, I don't think it's bright enough. And maybe if it was truly off a mirror type surface or something really bright, they probably would, because that reflected light wouldn't be strong enough, probably, or at least a lot stronger. I think it's just the fact that the moon is a dull gray, even though it is reflective. I don't know if it, and we say it's reflective, and I don't know if that's well, no, it is. I guess it is accurate, but it's not like it's beaming beams down here, gamma rays or infrared rays or anything like that. It's purely reflected light off the moon from the sun. So that's a good question, Tina. Might have to do some more homework on that.
You definitely need to figure out if they happen in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, let me make a note right now.
I mean, much like, was it Maurice on the Northern Exposure talking about the Japanese not having the wherewithal to have their own space program?
Yeah.
Much like that, it appears that South America doesn't have the wherewithal to have its own, like Aurora. So, I just wonder if they have
sun dogs,
all the other, meteorologic anomalies.
Good morning, Kelly. The Mickey Bunch is in the house. And Space Mountain Dave Cantrell was popped in here a minute ago. Kelly, did you remember to bring the donuts? Because we're about out. I put you down for donuts today. That's a good question, though, Tina. I'll have to look that up. And I actually am curious to see if I can find anything about the Southern Hemisphere. I meant to look that up, but I did forget that. I apologize. But if that's the only thing I've forgotten in the last few days, that'd be a damn miracle. Pardon me.
Kelly said she's always down to bring the donuts.
Well, I don't know if you're in Arizona or Florida or where you're at right now, but if you were to bring donuts to such an affair as this, what kind of donuts would you bring out there? Is there a favorite donut shop? I wish we had a really good homemade local donut store like we had when I was growing up. Dave said, especially if donuts are served, he's here. We had I don't know if you remember, well, it was there probably, but it had changed. But Seaver's Bakery
Oh yeah,
was up on, they had a store or something up on the old highway there between
yeah.
Johnson City. When I was a kid, they were kind of a little bit more off the road there. And at the side of the store, I just remember it being a big concrete block building painted green, and it didn't look like anything all that special. And they made donuts and honey buns and fried pies and all that stuff that you now, I see them down here now for sale. And but we used, as kids, we could ride our bicycles over there, and for a nickel you could get a couple of fresh donuts that just came off the, and they were so much better than Krispy Kremes or something like
Hot
that.
flaming donuts.
They were just so good. What was that?
Hot flaming donuts. I mean, there's nothing better.
Oh yeah. And Kelly says they had a local place called Bossa something. Bossa Donuts. It's family owned, and the donuts are fresh and delicious. I bet they are. If you mean what kind of donut, I'm a little bit partial to maple or caramel ice donuts myself. Brenda likes a cake donut, blueberry cake donuts. And then basically every donut that I can get my hands on that somebody else don't eat first is my favorite. I'm not that.
I'm still a glazed, just a plain old glazed donut.
Well, yeah, if I can get a good one,
If they're fresh.
Yeah, if they're good and fresh. Oh, I love maple. I do too.
That's
Kelly,
a good
that's
one
one of
too.
my favorite things if I can find them. And there's a store here that's just down on the corner called Weigel's, and they're all over this area. And they do make donuts in the shops, fairly fresh, but I don't know exactly, if they didn't make it from scratch or if they're buying, buy dough and then just make them there in their shop. Well, but they're good. They're the closest thing I've had in a long time to what I remember growing up. And Tina, you can definitely count this as a squirrel. Well, I'm going to ask what you call an old fashioned donut, unless that's like a cake donut or what we call a cake donut, maybe. Carol says she likes either a chocolate frosted cake donut or one of those fried cinnamon sugar donuts from the cider mill. Ooh, good fresh cider to go with that.
Do cream horns count as a donut?
Look at that. I would recommend you don't mention it, Kelly, because the last person that came in here talking about the temperature being that way was run out on a rail and then hung by his boots. now Carol's flung a craving on Mike. What are you asking, John? John said has a question mark with glazed. I like glazed donuts too if they're good. I mean, some of them are just, I don't know, the dough is not what it used to be or something. The glaze is probably the same, but are you going to make me walk the plank? That is possible, Carol or Kelly. That could happen. Oh, and Dave's going to top you by saying it's 70 where he's at. Yeah, there are people in here that might never talk to you again, Dave. I mean, I'm just saying. Oh, you call Well, maybe what I'm calling frosted, you might call an iced donut, with icing. I think I've heard them call that. Our glazed are just the sugar. They run them through a sugar bath and then let them drip off. Basically. machine they do that with is kind of cool if you're into that sort of thing. Tina says she likes cinnamon sugar or apple cider donuts best. Oh, she thought Squirrel County was suspended until the show starts next week since the slideshow ends. Well, that technically that's probably true, Tina. So you can let that one pass.
80.
Jesus.
I don't even like it to get that warm in the summer, let alone in the winter time.
Yeah, that's true. I always said I'd like to live someplace where it never got that hot, but maybe not that. Maybe not 25 below zero, but not 80 in the wintertime. Apple cider donuts are so good with a cup of warm cider to drink with it. Boston cream. Oh yeah, well I like Boston cream.
Is.
Do what?
I want to know what a dom nut is.
Where did you see that at? Oh, she's typing too fast. She said she's typing too fast. Oh, Tina said Tina's supposed to be warm next week in mid-40s. Now she's gonna go get her laundry out of the stuff. I mean, out of the machine. Golly, I can't say anything. I think it's about time for me to go and find something else to get off my setter for a while. I'm starting to hurt a bit. I'm heat miser.
It's like withdrawal weekend. There's no football.
I know. None. They're not just college football, but there ain't no football.
There's none.
Unless you count that round ball stuff, and I don't. So
that ain't a sport.
Carol says she doesn't begrudge the 60 degrees. After all, it's a breezy 22 there. I'd almost rather. Well, I know what it gets like in Arizona in the summertime. I'd probably rather have the 22 right now.
Yeah, when it's like 120 in Yuma.
Yeah, you've been there.
That's not fit for human consumption.
What was the hottest you remember it getting while you were out there? Or did you blank all that out?
About that, I can remember going down and doing quail surveys down by Yuma in the summertime, and it would be literally 120 plus in the daytime. Jeez. And the coldest I've ever felt, and I wasn't cold, but the coldest I've ever felt, I had a little cot that I'd just lay out in the desert, and a little elevated cot so the scorpions didn't get me.
Yeah.
And I would lay out in the desert and just sleep outside when I was down there doing surveys for a week. And I had a little thermometer that hung off my cot, and I looked at it one morning and I was freezing. I never took a sleeping bag because it was too hot to start with. I just have like a poncho liner or something. And I woke up one morning and I was just freezing. And I looked down at the thermometer and it was 75 degrees.
You ought to know the desert gets cold at night or cool.
But your body just like gets used to it being 120.
Yeah.
And then 75 is quite the temperature difference. So it's just like I was telling you, I was out in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
A couple days ago, and it was 4 or 5 or something.
Mm-hmm. And just so to take up for Dave Cantrell, that's why the Floridians, they don't mind it being hot.
Oh, we got the Pro Bowl tomorrow. Oh,
yeah,
flag football.
It's going to be a flag football. I guess that's the whole Pro Bowl. I don't know. Is that whole idea to make sure nobody gets hurt this year? I mean, that's
I bet sense. Those guys are big enough that I bet they can hurt each other anyway.
Well, that's true. And John, yes, I will be watching that. In fact, my buddy Philip is supposed to come over today and watch some of NHL All-Star game. Did you, John or Mike or anybody, did you watch the All-Stars, NHL All-Star skill show last night? I saw about half of it. It does feel freezing in, but it also feels so good. Dave says he loves the heat wave. All right, guys, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to cut loose. Super Bowl party. I hadn't had a Super Bowl party in years. We used to go to Super Bowl parties when we lived in Nashville. Oh, you were at Cadets last night. Okay. Hope that's going well. Ian said my daughter watched the skill show and reported back. Well, that's good, Ian. That's good to let you know. It's kind of fun. They were doing it. They were working hard at it. Some of them. All right, guys. I'm gonna say goodbye, and we're gonna sign off. And I really appreciate everybody coming out and hanging around and listening to us palaver and talk about sun dogs and squirrels and whatever else we were chasing there. I always appreciate you being here. Alexander
got a promotion last night.
Oh,
cool.
Alexander. Hey, buddy, come up here and say bye. Come here. Come up here and say bye. Come on. Go sit on the couch when I get through, okay? He's wanting me to go sit on the couch and move that meow. You may think I'm crazy, but he'll run over and sit down, and then he'll come back, meow, and then he'll go back to the couch. Come here. Come up here in your chair for a minute. Come here. Yeah. Now I lost him, so oh well. Ronnie don't want to be on screen, but she wants to play right.
She needs to get her. She's got a Bambi right here. She can show everybody. Hey, where's your Bambi?
Come here, buddy. Here he is. Tell everybody bye. See him next week. Same cat.
Hey, everybody.
Same cat time, same cat channel. All right, have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the hockey game today if you're interested in hockey, and football tomorrow. But next week will be a much better game, I'm sure. So, see ya.